Welcome back for video number 2 on the technique of password spraying associated to the orange attack path. Where we left off was we had created an email list and a password list. Now we're going to use those lists to conduct a password spray. And there are various tools that could be used to conduct this password spray. One of those is Burp Suite, which is a proxy using the repeater function, or OWASP Zap using what's called a fuzzer, or Hydra. Hydra is a command line utility that is fast and efficient. For this, I'm going to demonstrate how to use OWASP Zap. I would also challenge you to create your own tool using PowerShell or Python to conduct a password spray. So real quick, here's the website that we will be testing in the lab. Your IP address will be different, but as you go to the website, you will be prompted saying, hey, this is QDPM version 9.1. Here's an email and a password that is required. So a proxy works by intercepting traffic. So if I come here and I say username at test.com and I just put in a random password and I click login. If the proxy is working appropriately, I will be able to go back to it and notice that on this HTTP verb of post, it's sending my username, which I put in as username at test.local, the email, and then I put in the password of test. So now what I can do with a proxy or tools is I can highlight the username or the email that I want to fuzz or to run through my list. So I'm going to right click on this after I've highlighted the full email and I've clicked fuzz. Notice real quick it says %40. %40 is the URL encoding for the @ symbol. The @ symbol is replaced typically and URL encoded just for an appropriate encoding scheme to be received by the web application. We are going to go ahead and ignore the URL encoding because that'll be handled by the web application. So I'm going to go ahead and click fuzz. And I selected the email address. Now I'm going to add a payload. The payload is going to be the file that I created with emails. So I'll go into my Ensign folder. I come over to password spray and select the email list that I generated. And it should automatically populate this box down here with the emails that I have in that list. Then I click OK. Now there's one other item I would like to fuzz, and that is the password. So I'm going to highlight the password, right click. I'm going to highlight the password and say add because I'm already here. Then I'm going to add my payload that will be tested for the password, which will be the password list that I created. So then I click open and it imports the 4 passwords that I'm going to attempt for each username. And I'm going to click add and OK. So now I'm fuzzing or brute forcing both the email and the password with the list of users and the list of passwords that I want to try. So I'm going to say go ahead and start the fuzzer. And this does cause quite a bit of noise on a network. And the Security Operations Center should be able to detect this noise. And being that you are a red teamer, if you're in a purple team engagement, you would actually be working with their team to help them detect this attack occurring, or this technique. So real quick, I'm looking at the request that I sent, and a code 302 means, hey, the web page was found. And I just quickly glance at all the codes and the reasons, and nothing really stands out. I'm going to look at the round trip time and notice that there is one that's 65 milliseconds, but that may not matter. I'm going to look at the size response of the header. Just what I'm doing is I'm looking for variations, because I need to detect if a valid email and a password was successful. So looking at the size response in the headers, everything appears to be 364, with exception of this one, where it's 780 bytes, which is unique amongst all of them. Well, if I look at the payloads, or I select it, I can see that the email braleyogden@windomain.local with the password winner2022 worked. And just to double check, again, the size response in bytes is 100, where all of the other size is 105. So we have found one account that does work. So let's go ahead and log in with that account. So braley.ogden@windomain.local with the password winner22. And I click login. And sure enough, the password spray was successful in finding that account had a password of winter 2022. So part of this studying about this technique, I would like you to investigate what adversaries, or who I like to call miscreants, what are the adversaries using for tools to conduct a password spray. Here's a link to the MITRE attack technique, and when you click on that link, you'll come to a web page, and as you scroll down from that web page, you'll see procedure examples. Inside those procedure examples, you'll see names. These are threat groups that are here so that you can understand that they use this sub-technique, and then there are references that you can go to study about how they have used this technique and when. Part of the homework is to identify and focus on APT33. So in here we find out the group name of APT33, and there's a couple of references that you could go to identify how this group has utilized password spraying. And that is everything that I wanted to cover for this technique, password spraying. It is still used by adversaries today to gain an initial compromise of a company or what they're trying to get. One of the number one mistakes that are made by companies is to provide weak passwords, especially during the employee onboarding process or the initial setup of software. Sometimes you'll find that initial setup of software has a username of admin and a password of admin. And you may want to include that in your username list or your password list. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.